Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marketing, Money, and Mindset with Got Writer's Block. Today, we're so excited to talk about the pros and cons of integrating ChatGPT into our strategy. And we brought none other than Steph, your content bestie, and Mila here to moderate the chat from Got Writer's Block, plus add her own spin on her thoughts on ChatGPT. So thank you, Steph and Mila, for being here.
As always.
No problem. So excited.
Yay. So we brought on Steph tonight because Steph's actually been using ChatGPT for social media and for some things blogging. So we want to know the juicy scoop on how it's been going with you, how you've been manipulating ChatGPT, because you know it's all about the input, and just how it's going. So everyone, welcome Steph. Say hi in the chat to Steph.
Hi, everybody.
And yeah, so give us your thoughts on ChatGPT. Just tell us how you've been using it, why you think it can be an added benefit to your strategy, and we would love to go through examples later.
Yeah, so just a quick background on who I am and why you should care about what I have to say is I'm a social media manager. I actually have my own agency. So I have a boutique Instagram marketing agency. We work with female-owned businesses, some bricks and mortar, and some online service provider type businesses. And we provide a plethora of services. We do engagement, we do content planning, and we do full-on management, which entails writing captions, hashtag research, all of that jazz, content ideas, content calendars, all of that. So GPT has been really great with helping me speed up the process for myself and my account managers when it comes to creating that content for our clients, and even for myself and my own social media captions and things like that. So I found out about it late, in a sense, not recently. Like I found out about it a couple months ago. A couple of friends I know, like one is a Facebook ads manager. She had been using it to write ad copy.
Right, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my other friend Ikea, my friend that lives in the States, she's an SEO and Pinterest expert, and she writes a lot of blog content, and she does like SEO and keyword heavy type of, blogging and that kind of thing. So she was using it and she was raving about it. I've used other AIs. So I had been already using AIs to do things like writing blogs, web copy and all of that. But I just find ChatGPT is so much different. And, you have to command it if you want it to make your life easier. Because at first I was just writing really basic things like, write a social media caption about social media or something like that.
Yeah,
about engaging on social media or something really simple. And it would just give me a very bland kind of like word dump of information, which was great. But then I had to work extra hard to really reword everything. And it wasn't worded in a way that I felt like was working for me. So then I started to realize, and through talking to some of my friends about their usage of it, I realized like you have to be very specific and command it to work in a specific way. So an example of that would be, if you want it to talk in a certain tone or write in a certain tone, you need to tell it what that tone is. So you could be as specific as saying, maybe like, speak like a 30-year-old woman or millennial woman who is very girly, or use like a girly tone. Or you could say, use a more professional salesy tone. Or you could say, use it like I don't know, well-spoken male voice or something like that to kind of get it to write in the tone that you feel is most appropriate. And then that makes it easier for you to then be able to manipulate it.
Do you wanna show us an example, Steph, of how you've manipulated it?
Yeah, let me just share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so can everyone see that?
Yeah, let me just add it. Yeah.
Perfect. So I wrote in this example, write a social media caption from the perspective of a social media manager about being consistent with your content in a girly millennial tone. And so as we can see, it wrote something in the way that I would probably write, like, hey girls, or hey ladies, or, I might not even say, hey, so-and-so, but I might just start with like kind of a fun line, like consistency is key when it comes to slaying your social media game. Like that's a really fun, catchy kind of one-liner, which may have taken me twice as long to come up with. So it does definitely help save time in that sense. And then in this case, seeing that it makes it kind of short and it doesn't have any CTA, I can then further, like, this helps me like write things a lot quicker. So before I even actually put the full caption together, I'll get all the pieces. And this helps me gather all the pieces together, and then I can space them out and make it into a real caption. So in this case, what I would do to further command it is say, make this caption longer and add a call to action to go to my LinkedIn bio and sign up for my content planning club.
Very specific.
Yeah. And you have to be careful with the words you give it, because it will literally use those exact words a lot of the time. So if I said content planning club membership, it might say content planning club membership, and I don't want the word membership on there. So I'm just going to hit enter and add that. Then what it will do is, oh, it even said, hey, girlies, because that's how I talk. It would kind of rewrite it a little bit, but it'll keep most of the same text. Then it will make it a little bit longer. The only thing is with the emojis it adds, sometimes it doubles up on the emojis, but hey, you can always change that.
You can always delete them, yeah.
You could say no emojis, I'm sure, and it would not give you any emojis. With the Content Planning Club, you'll have access to a range of tools and resources to help you plan, create, and schedule content with ease. So what's really cool about the fact that it says that is that I didn't even put that information in, but that's exactly what's included in my Content Planning Club, which is so cool that it just said those things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that it's like it read my mind. It's a little scary. And then here it says, so let's commit to showing up and slaying your social media game together. If you're ready to take your blah, 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 sign up for the Content Planning Club today. You won't regret it, babe, which is kind of cute. And it's actually not bad. And I kind of like how it sounds just like someone would speak almost, in a sense.
Yeah, you nailed what to input. Like millennial girly is your style.
Yeah, and so that's where you have to try and think about how you would describe the voice that you want it to end up speaking in, essentially. So
To me, let's try a fun one. So say you wanted to do something for like a nutrition company, but more informational. Can we try like an informational one?
yes, sorry, hold on, I lost the tab.
Okay.
I don't know where it went. I thought it was right next door. That's weird. That's not it. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me stop sharing for one quick second. I don't want to.
Yeah, stop sharing and come back. Yeah.
It's okay. Like, even if it doesn't quite get like your unique voice and a style that's a little bit more reflective of your demographic, at least it gives you some kind of idea, right? To draw from, and then you can kind of like brand it yourself, personalize it.
Yeah, it's like having a brainstorming partner.
For the pros, yeah.
It is. It's exactly like that, Jess. And what's cool is like you can say things that are profession specific as well, which is what I really like about it, because one of my clients is an interior decorator, and we, get things written from the perspective of an interior decorator, and then we can add her actual website copy to fill in, maybe not the blanks, but to kind of replace some of the information in a way that's more tailored to her, and that helps with saving time. What did you want to try, Jess?
Let's try write a caption for nutritionist in informative voice. We'll just start with basic. Do you think that's good?
Yeah, I would say from the perspective. What topic, like in nutrition?
What should we do? Let's say gut health tips.
Okay. So write a caption on about gut health tips from the perspective of a nutritionist. What was the other thing you said? In an informative voice. Okay. And do you want it to appeal to women or men?
Ooh, appeal to women.
Okay. Let's see. That's actually taking it a step further. Hopefully I didn't make any typos. And hopefully it's generating. The only thing is sometimes you have to restart it, but it should.
I know.
Here we go.
Here we go. Hey, ladies.
Let's talk about gut health. Did you know that your gut is home to trillions of microorganisms, collectively known? So they must be
Bad.
pulling. Yeah, it's actually not bad, and it'll write all the steps up for you. And I kind of like how it's adding emojis. Like
Yeah, I
then
like
I
the
don't have to
steps.
add them.
Yeah.
It's cute. But what I was gonna say was, so we were gonna chat a little bit about where it gets the information from. I'm sure a lot of
Yes.
people are wondering, where the heck does it get this information from, and how do we know that it's like a credible source? So apparently, it doesn't come from the internet. It's so the information is programmed into the chat
Okay.
AI. And so
Okay.
it comes from sources such as websites, such as books, such as articles, such as texts, which are books,
Yep.
encyclopedias, things like that. So it comes from legitimate sources. It doesn't search the internet. It's not a search engine. So it's not going to search things for you. However, in my experience, there are times when and I could maybe try to show an example of this, when I will put a link in here and tell it to pull the information from that link. Most of the time,
Oh, that's interesting.
it is interesting, but most of the time it will just pull from the copy that's on that page, which is great because that saves you time from doing it yourself. But sometimes it
But
will say
then
like,
what
sorry,
about
sometimes
plagiarism? Like, would you have to rewrite it? Is it like word for word?
I don't always find it's word for word, but for me, like I don't, in depending where it's coming from, like I usually don't plagiarize. Like I wouldn't take something from like a blog post per se. It would come from like my customer's website.
Okay.
So a place that wouldn't be, I wouldn't, if you're gonna pull information from a source that you don't own or your client doesn't own, then I would absolutely fact check and change it and make sure you're not plagiarizing and all of that. But if like I have a client who's a keto coach and she is like a network marketer for this drink called ketones. So they have a website. So the company is called Prove It, and they have a website. So I will put in like, write a social media caption about drinking ketones, use the information from this website, and then I'll put the link, and then it will pull the information from that website. So it's not plagiarizing per se. It's just that she's representing that company, right? So
Yeah.
the information is about that company and their products.
Yeah.
So, but if you were using someone else's blog post or you were getting information from like Hootsuite or later, then I would definitely double check to make sure it's not word for word. And if it is, I would rewrite it in your personal opinion or your personal, like I would rewrite it myself.
Honestly, I'm pretty impressed just from like what it pulled, and you didn't even say to write hashtags, and it also put hashtags.
Yeah, or like, give me 10 interesting content ideas about gut health. And then it will start to do like a list. Oh, sure, here. Okay. Sometimes it takes a minute to think. And I guess it really depends.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think it depends what information is pre-programmed into it. I mean, I'm assuming they've pulled as much information.
What's already in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It also feels like all these matter a little bit too. Like if you were maybe to change the word interesting to something else, like useful content ideas, or maybe how different would it be?
True.
Yeah, or
yeah,
even like I'm thinking like controversial. Can it do something controversial?
Yeah, you definitely should.
Can it be opinionated?
And what that could potentially say about the sources that it's pulling from.
Right. Yeah.
Give like me what 10 different.
And that's where you kind of have to use your best judgment. Right?
Yeah.
And you are going to have to be like a critical reader in this scenario.
Yeah. So controversial content ideas about something. Okay. Fitness. Let's see. Fitness for women. Let's see what it comes up with.
Now here is my thought. So say all these keto coaches or nutritionists or fitness people are learning how to use this tool and they learn how to input the same stuff. Are they gonna have like all the same posts?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I think some might have similar depending on how basic their ideas are, what they type in.
Yeah, because if it's pulling things from the same database, like why
Right.
wouldn't it be the same?
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be limited in that regard because we're still the ones that have to input information into this thing, right? So it's kind of up to us to keep it updated, right?
Absolutely. So it said, as an AI language model, I do not provoke controversial content or misinformation that could be harmful or offensive to any group of people. So it does have limits and boundaries.
We found the limit. The limit does exist.
The limit does exist.
Oh, Mean Girls references. They're always so great, and aren't they?
Oh my goodness. This needs a screenshot. Hold on. We need to screenshot this.
Hold on, I'll take one.
But I do think it's a great thing to bring up and talk about because there is misinformation out there that we should be aware of. AI potentially cannot tell us or tell the difference in every single case between what is fact checked and what is potentially misinformation, right?
It's true, yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's like any AI you would use. It's not a real person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If it's not pulling from whether it's pulling from the internet or it's pulling from these kind of unlabeled sources, like they're not listing the sources that things are coming from. So like imagine you wrote an essay with ChatGPT, it would be terrible. Like how would you?
Well, it's coming. It's definitely going to be coming.
You know, and then there's also the issue of conflict of interest and potentially like confusing the tool, right? You have someone saying one thing about a topic and then you have somebody saying another thing. Who do you trust, right? Or is maybe there some kind of nuance here, a gray area? And the thing is the AI, at least at this point, it doesn't seem, is capable of doing that the same way we can. So I think that's more for like long-term content, not long-term, long
form
content. Thank you. As opposed to short form, I think with short form, you don't have to worry as much about that sort of thing. But yeah.
You can give it information too to add. So like I want to kind of point out that like say you wanted it to write an email sequence or a sales page. Like my friend Nakia, she uses this heavily to write sales pages, heavily to write blog posts.
Really?
Like for every sales pages and everything. But I think what you have to do is you have to feed it the information. So I would kind of like build either a skeleton or I would just like brain dump all the words that I want it to use and say, put this into a, problem solution style sales page copy or write a problem solution style sales page with this information. So like write a sales page for my content planning club. But the thing is I find mostly it writes things that are on the shorter side. So here, let's say that's 3 pages long. What is it going to give us? This might take the rest of our time to end up seeing what it writes. But, it's interesting because I haven't even tried to push it to each kind of limit. You know what I mean? But it'd be interesting to see what it does because like my friend uses it for sales pages and I thought that was so interesting because I think the more information you can give it, the more accurate it gets, but never ever feel like this is going to replace hiring a copywriter and someone that's actually trained.
No,
I had to say it. Like even myself, I still.
The truth is we're always going to be one step ahead because we're the ones that are discovering new information, right? We're creating all of this knowledge. We're the ones going out there experimenting with trial and error and having all these different discussions and discoveries and whatever, right? Like this thing is a step behind us unless we update it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and like this tool can't be used without us anyway, so you need us.
No, it needs to be human. It's human driven, right? But so this is interesting. So, and it constantly reminds you, like as a language model, I can provide a sample sales page for your content planning club, but please note this is just an example and you'll need to tailor it to your specific audience.
Listen, I appreciate that. I like that it's self-aware.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It knows that it can only
actually not bad. I was
framework,
skeptical at first.
But it can't do the homework for you. Right?
No. And it can't.
You got to show off your skills, show off your creativity, show off how smart you are, right? Like
exactly.
This thing, it doesn't want to do that. It doesn't seem like, for one thing, and it can't anyways. So
yeah, it doesn't know your credentials. It doesn't know what sets you apart. It doesn't know your, your value prop. It doesn't know your story. It doesn't know what makes you connect to people. It doesn't necessarily know your tone or your verbiage either.
It doesn't know how you've evolved and how your environment has evolved and how you're kind of interacting and responding to it. Right? It's just stuck in its own state unless you say to it, oh, by the way, here's some information I'm going to need you to keep in mind for content.
Yeah.
Right? That's really
sorry. So funny story, really, really quick. So I saw on TikTok, a TikToker bought a tracksuit from Aritzia, and they told her it was final sale and she couldn't return it. So what she did was she went home, she used ChatGPT customer service team. And basically the customer service team said, okay, just go in and get like an exchange. But she used ChatGPT to like write her response, and like that blew up all over the internet. And I was like, oh wow, like that's smart. I would never think to have it compose an email like that. Like that's so interesting. Like if I'm mad and I wanted to actually, and like, I'm too emotional to write something, I should have ChatGPT write it for me. Like that's
in cases where you want to like dial down your
the anger,
your emotions, have something that's a little bit more neutral and civil. Okay, that's really interesting.
Diplomatic, I guess.
Yeah.
Diplomatic.
Write a customer feedback in non-angry tone.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for everything, right? Like, bring on the tears and the sob stories as like a last resort. Like if you really need to go there, maybe. Well, hopefully not too much, but yeah. This
like what did she type in?
Let's try. Okay, try it in the stream. Say
Oh, okay. So okay.
No, just say write response to customer service for return.
But interesting, like why aren't they allowing for that in this? Is it depending on how you word it?
I think part of that is
that's very
liability too.
About wanting to return.
Yes, yeah, it's got to be that. Here's an email template.
I'm wondering if it's the phrase "final sale" that it was like iffy on.
Maybe that's interesting to try to deduce why it's pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting. Look, congratulations to the lady for being able to do that.
So
good. I am wondering, is this thing gonna be kind of made so that people don't try to abuse the system too much, right?
I don't know, but they're coming out with a pro paid version, and they already have a relationship with Microsoft that they offer a special program for it in Teams or something now, I heard. So this thing has just taken off, and I'm sure they can barely keep up with the growth and just like the development now that they need to, like the innovation they need to keep providing is crazy. And then with innovation comes regulation. Like with any idea, it's never just like think about like when Uber came out, right? Like it wasn't regulated. People like didn't really understand it, and it was like it and even Airbnb, like all of these major innovations have blown up like the basic rules of society, right? So like this is a very huge disruptor type of tool technology. Because it's like now, like just like everything we've been talking about, like, okay, well, plagiarism, okay, well, fact checking, okay, well, all of these things that, like, how do we know how legitimate all of this information is? And then are people gonna fall victim to thinking it can replace a general human being?
A job.
Right? Like,
no, there's definitely, especially because we're in a recession, there's definitely tech companies who have slim teams and are trying to use this instead of marketing and copywriters, and they'll try, and we'll see in a few months how their stuff goes or if they're hiring again.
Exactly. And it's just so funny to me because Jess, you remember, we saw a comment talking about how, they would rather trust AI 90% of the time over people. I had to restrain myself from commenting. So you don't trust people, but you want people to trust you. And your tagline is sell with empathy.
Mila, he's doing that to troll you 100,000%.
Make that make sense, please.
He's trying to make you
Absolutely
comment more,
ridiculous.
100%.
There are people out there, mark my words, who are serious about that. You know,
Yeah,
they don't realize the implications of what they're saying, right? And it's so easy to kind of take that logic and turn it back on them.
It can't do your and it can't do your job for you. Like I've used it in a like I have a corporate client that I work with, so I've used it in kind of a corporate setting, and I used it to write an article about an internal team member and just like her credentials, and then the like just really about like the department that she heads up and how their relationship affects their end user. So
yeah.
Using it to write that was okay, but it didn't have any of the very specific information that needed to be said. You know what I mean? Like I could only input so much information about her, and then it ended up being like a really long article. And then of course I had two other people help, like, you know, two other sets of eyes looking at it and editing it. But like at the same time, it really can't gather information that it doesn't have. You know,
exactly.
Cases like that, that's when somebody does have to step in and create those touch points, you know, to make sure that the person is being helped along in their specificities. Something like this, I think, could potentially be good in giving like more general information and give people an idea of where they could start from, and then get to that level of actually engaging with somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting just to see how you can use it to benefit yourself, but I think always be willing to do the work yourself, because if you just copy and paste what's on here, I don't think it's going to perform as well as it would if you put your own personal touch on it.
Just like us, we're humans too. People are paying attention, and you know, they are reading this stuff carefully, or listening, depending on what format your content is in. And so you got to respect that. You know, you got to put thought into these things, and it will resonate.
Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up. So basically, AI is not going to take over the jobs of copywriters. But
Don't
worry, but as Steph has showed you, you can really manipulate the tool by having the right person put input in, right? So Steph can be that woman for you. She can help you with your social media on Instagram, with your content bestie. We're going to put her link in the chat. So you can follow her on Instagram at your content bestie. She will do all things Reels, Instagram Live, and she will integrate ChatGPT into the strategy, but it won't be the final piece.
No, and we don't use it for every client and every caption, you know? So we like to do things ourselves.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's always your choice if you want to use this thing, right? There's a lot of us who do want to have it as like, you know, an assistant, and there's a lot of us who don't. So, you know.
Yeah, I think it pulls the stuff out of your brain quicker than it would naturally come out.
it's a useful shortcut to start with.
Yeah, let's sum it up as that for now until we see what they do with it.
Thanks for coming on, Steph. Thanks for coming on, Mila. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.